The clip you are about to see is from a full podcast I did with Jim Daly. The full podcast is on the channel and it is also linked in the description below. Make sure to like the video, comment down below and also subscribe to the channel. Enjoy the video. How's the season been going for Palace so far?
Do you know what? It's actually, on paper, I don't think it's a particularly bad season, but the context around last season, which was Vieira's first season, that was so good. And so good for so many reasons. In terms of the points return was good, the football was excellent. We scored lots of goals. We had great players. Conor Gallagher was on loan. Everyone fell in love with him. So there was tick so many boxes. This season is different, but we're probably on course for a mid-table finish. Which, even as even 10 years into staying in the top flight, I'd still bite your hand off for. Especially having watched Palace nearly go out of business twice, since I've supported them. So, but yeah, I think everyone's a bit flat feeling a bit flat because it's not as good as last season. But there's various issues around recruitment and ownership and blah 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 stuff I won't bore you with here. But the overall picture is, I think we're doing okay. It could be better, could be slightly more exciting, but I think we'll be okay.
Fair enough. You've discussed Vieira there. Obviously, his first season was excellent. Everybody, was gassing him up, saying that he was going to be the next one at the Arsenal job because people were kind of expecting Vieira to possibly fall off. That obviously didn't happen. And he's still at Palace. Do you think he could reach those heights of the Arsenal job when Arteta were to move on? And how is this season going for
him? I was genuinely concerned at some points last season when Arsenal weren't doing as well, that they might panic and come in for Vieira. I think at some point he probably will go there. Whether it's soon or not, I don't know. But sometimes some transfers they're just written, aren't they? And you just know they're going to happen. And I feel like with Vieira it's meant to happen. But he's still got a lot to learn. He's a really smart guy. He's really charismatic. The players clearly love playing for him. I mean, most of them would have watched him playing when they were kids, so I think they're all in awe of him a bit. So he's got a lot of great attributes, but his in-game management is poor sometimes. He's only just this season become a bit more flexible in his system, but before he was playing like the same, essentially fourth, quite narrow 4-3-3, and wouldn't change it depending on who was available, and we lost a few games last season because he was quite stubborn. But he's learning this season on that. It's a learning curve for him, but we knew that would be the case. We're in a transition at the moment. But I think if he keeps showing that he can learn, and he has been this season in terms of the system and personnel. I mean, he's been let down by the board, I will say, at Palace in terms of signings. But I think he's someone that wants to learn. He's a lovely bloke. Everyone's in love with him. Everyone wants him to do well. Really wants him to do well at Palace. So I think the sky's the limit for him. But obviously, as we know in football, things can change in a heartbeat. If Palace suddenly got relegated or whatever, then I think his stock would, not be as it wouldn't be as good. And to be honest, at the moment, Arsenal are doing so well. I think Arsenal would need to drop off a bit, and there'd be various things need to happen, but. I think Vieira's got really good potential in this as a manager.
I'll agree with that one. I think I could liken Vieira going for the Arsenal job as Company going for the City job. He'll need to wait a couple of years, but both will happen.
Yeah, I agree. And it would be foolish of both clubs to try that sooner rather than later. They're better off waiting a couple of years, maybe even a couple of years too long, and because they're both huge jobs. But you're right, they both feel like things that inevitabilities at some point.
I mean, it took Arteta an awful long time to get to play at Arsenal because he possibly got the job too early.
But they gave him the time. And,
they did.
And actually, it proves that these days, I know we're in a world where managers get sacked after losing, 2 or 3 games on the bounce. But you give someone time if you really believe in what they do, which is why I think Vieira won't get sacked at Palace. I think everyone does believe in what he does. Give people time, and I think they can surprise you. So. I'm really pleased for Arteta and Arsenal.
I mean, it's one of them. A lot of managers don't get given the time unless you're Brendan Rodgers. He's been given Don't. You know what? You know what? We're not doing that.
But another manager that's not been supported by the board, I would say, in terms of recruitment.
Yeah, I'll agree. I mean, granted, he blamed the fans, he blamed the players, he blamed the owner, he blamed everyone but himself.
The tea lady.
Yeah, well. I mean, after Brighton away, he told the fans to stop booing the players. We weren't booing the players, but sure, Brendan, do you, Brendan? You know what?
You do you.
You do you, and please.
Well, he always has. He's one manager that always has done.
To be fair, he lives 2 villages away from me, so if I shout loud enough, he might be able to hear me.
One of my favourite football myths, and I think this is true, is that Brendan Rodgers has got a life-size self-portrait of himself in his hallway. That's one of those myths that, like, even if it wasn't true, you could believe it.
Looking ahead to the summer, how do you think that will go?
Well, the big one, as ever, is Wilfried Zaha.
Yes.
And his contract is up this summer.
It is.
I suspect it might be the year that we finally say goodbye to Wilf, although, given what he's done for the club over the last 10 years, he'd go with the best wishes of every Palace fan. I don't think anyone would begrudge him at all. He's a Palace legend, and he is literally the reason we are where we are now, in terms of everything he's done for us. But the club would be in a bit of position, really, in terms of what to do next. And there's already loads of recruitment issues. We need a striker. Our current strikers can't score goals. We've bought some midfielders, which is good. We probably need some cover at fullback. But if Wilf goes, then that changes everything. And if he goes for nothing, which he probably will, you're then asking the club to spend. I mean, his sort of replacement would cost 50 million minimum.
Yeah.
So they're going to be in a tricky situation. There's also rumours that the American owners, shareholders, well, it's not even rumours. They tried to buy Chelsea, they tried to buy Man United, so they clearly don't want to be here.
That's not great.
But Steve Parish doesn't have the money on his own to fund those kind of signings. So it's like crossroads, really, for Palace. It'll be very interesting to see what happens this summer. Yeah,
I mean, you're a club who needs to... The issue is your club needs a striker. Every club needs a striker.
Yes.
Chelsea need one. You know...
Yes, Chelsea need one, obviously, in a slightly better calibre. But if you look at teams like Southampton...
Leeds.
Che Adams. Yeah, Che Adams they bought from the Championship, who we link with, has been okay in patches but struggled.
Yeah.
Adam Armstrong. You know, none of these... You could still spend 20 to 30 million quid on a striker for the Championship. It's no guarantee. No. Neil Maupay. You know, Neil Maupay was good for Brighton, struggled at Everton, came from Brentford, so... Ollie Watkins, of course, doing very well, former Brentford, but there's no guarantee.
No, there isn't.
That's the problem. You have to have endless money to keep chucking at these players and trying and hope that one of them pays off.
Yeah, I mean, strikers for mid-table sides, mid-lower table sides, everyone needs one. Yeah. I was genuinely looking at early this year. There's not many sides you could say they don't need striker. I mean, you know, even us as a fairly established now Premier League side, we need strikers, and everybody needs them. So yes, it's an issue with that. Incomings. You obviously discussed about the a need for a new striker there. Is there anything else you will need to do besides replacing Wilfried Zaha?
Oh God, striker is a priority. I mean, I don't know how much you've seen of Jean-Philippe Mateta.
He's not great.
It is like someone's won a competition to play for Paris because he's weirdly confident. Despite having no ability, it's a bizarre combo, and he missed a few chances, big chances against Liverpool the other night. We've got Odsonne Edouard, we've got from Celtic, who is talented but seems to have zero self-belief. Mm-hmm. Then you've got Mateta, who would be picked last on the playground, but seems to think it's basically got Nicholas Bentner syndrome. Where he thinks he's the best player in the world.
Yeah,
if we could combine the two, we might have a decent striker. But it's, as you said, like. Strikers for mid-table clubs are like gold dust, so that's high on the priority. But we definitely need midfield's an issue because James McArthur is now 80, so he's struggling for fitness. Even though
he's still there.
Yeah, he's been injured all season. He's back on the bench, but he can't do many minutes. Doucouré's been fantastic, but he's literally been pulling the strings of midfield on his own. Mm-hmm. And fullback, I mean, Klein and Mitchell are perfectly good, but Klein needs an upgrade probably, and Mitchell needs backup. Our only backup at left back is Jeffrey Schlupp, and Jeffrey divides the Palace fan base like no other player ever. I like Jeffrey Schlupp, but he really he's struggling at the moment. So, mate, there are various holes to be fixed in this squad. But as you said, every other club around us in the league will be probably trying to patch up the same holes. So
Yeah, pretty much.
it is difficult.
It is. I mean, Jeff Schlupp is a player who will obviously have a special place in my heart for the things he did for my football club.
Yes.
Love Jeffrey Schlupp. I mean, I can look over to my right and see a photo on the wall of Leicester City lifting the Premier League trophy, and I can see him between Mark O'Brien and Danny Simpson. So Jeffrey Schlupp is a player who will always go down.
The only Palace player ever who's won the Premier League.
Jeffrey Schlupp. Wow, that is.
I lied. Gary Cahill won it, didn't he?
Of course, Gary Cahill did win it. Yes.
But I like Schlupp, but he basically no one knows where he plays.
No.
So he's constantly played in about a million positions, and he never gets to run in the team, and never gets to sort of settle. The poor guy. But he's clearly a good player.
Yeah, it's same issue he had at us. So 8 years running now he's had that issue. Is he a left back? Is he a left winger? Is he can play centre mid? What is he? So it's an issue. He's got a lot of pace though. Too much pace with centre mid is what I always say. He's too fast.
And he's powerful. I wonder if he might. I used to be a striker, didn't he? But when he breaks through the lines, he's brilliant, and he's very powerful. But he does it once a month. He's just not consistent enough, unfortunately.
He used to be our sort of player to come off the bench for Mark O'Brien when we needed some pace in the game. In that title campaign, which he was great as. Apart from that, not anything special. You've discussed on players you need to bring in terms of outgoings. Who needs to go?
Well, in theory, no one apart from Wilf, because our squad is not that deep. I suspect, I don't know whose contracts are up. I suspect Mateta probably goes because he's just not good enough. If Wilf goes, that's obviously an issue. Guaita has signed a new deal, which is great because he's a really good keeper.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a chance Mark Gahey might possibly go, but it would be for big money.
It would be for a lot, yes.
But he's the real deal. I mean, he
looks excellent.
Superb. Other than that, I mean, I think a lot of Palace fans would probably want Schlupp to go, unfortunately, but I don't think he will, because Vieira seems to...
He might. Contract's up.
So
there's a club option for another year, but his contract is up, so...
Vieira's got a soft spot for him.
Uh-huh.
He clearly likes him, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a last-minute one-year deal extension there. But other than that, I'm not sure if anyone else leaves. Jordan Ayew will never leave Palace and will be here until he's 100.
Mm-hmm.
And Edouard, I hope they keep for one more year to give him a go. But yes, other than that, it could just be Wilf.
Yeah, I mean, we can run through the players' contracts expiring in a second, so I've got them up, and there's a lot of them.
Okay, go on. I'll give you one-word answers.
Okay, so Zaha.
Possibly.
Samuel Okonga obviously will go back to Arsenal. Jeffrey Schlupp has a club option for 1 year, but...
I think he stays. He'll stay.
Signs that, okay. Jordan Ayew?
Stay.
Klein?
Stay. He's earned the right back spot. He's done well.
Fair enough. Milivojevic?
Oh, might go.
Okay.
Might go, yeah.
Ward?
Will never leave Palace. I mean, the guy is an absolute warhorse.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect he either retires and joins as a coach or gets a one-year deal. Or no, maybe, possibly goes back to Pompey. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see him going at 33.
Oh, but he's just, we love him. We all love him so much.
The issue is Klein and Joel Ward as your right back options.
I know. Well, this is an issue. Yeah, this is a big issue.
Don't film with confidence.
I wish we'd have gone for Jed Spence, but he went to Spurs.
Yeah, I think I actually did a video where I said Jed Spence should go to you lot, so I'm actually proud of that one then. James Tompkins.
If you'd have asked me after Boxing Day when we played Fulham at home, lost 3-0 and he was at fault for almost every goal and got sent off, I'd have said never plays for Palace again. But has played a few games recently, including against Brighton, where he scored the equaliser and has been very good. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a one-year deal, and I'm realising that's not a one-word answer. Sorry.
That's fine. And then last but not least, James MacArthur.
Will stay, I think. He will definitely either get a one-year deal or become a coach. Definitely.
35 years old.
but we've missed him this season. He brings a lot of energy to the midfield, and we've genuinely missed him. But injuries are a problem.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he retires, but then stays on as a coaching staff.
For energy-based players, if you're picking up injuries.
Exactly.
At the age of 35, you're struggling.
Energy coach.
Yeah, pretty much. You did mention Odsonne Edouard. Now, this is a player that I watched a lot 2 or 3 seasons back because we were linked with him. He was like, the guy we were constantly linked with. He was going to be our new striker. Then we signed Patson Daka, who is average. How has he properly settled in? I know you've said he's sort of been here and there. He's I know quite a bit about him, partly because I sat there and forced myself to watch the Scottish Premier League to find out what it'd be like when we signed him. We were really close to signing him. Then went, you know what, we'll have Daka instead. And I was like, great, I've wasted half my week. But how has he done?
He's struggled for game time. That's been his issue. Mm-hmm. When he's had runs in the team, he's actually scored a few goals.
Okay.
I mean, he got 2 on his debut against Spurs, which was lovely. Beat Spurs 3-0, which was just it was an amazing day.
Yeah.
But he's struggled for a decent run of games. Every time he then sort of hits a bad patch, he's out. I think Vieira doesn't fancy him.
No.
Unfortunately, I think there's a real player in there, but he needs games. And if he does play, he'll either be up front, and the next game he'll be out wide left, and then he's on the bench, and then he's up front again, and the poor guy can't really get a proper run. So I don't know. It pains me to say it. I think the only thing that would result in him having a successful run at Palace is probably a change of manager, which I don't want to see.
No.
But I think I don't know what's going to happen with him, but I like him a lot. But they just haven't found a system for him yet. So it's a real shame. Shame.
It is. For a new striker to come in this summer, you'd need to lose one on Mateta, Edouard and Ayew. So it'll be interesting to see which one does move on. Presuming you get a new striker, which got you into. Yeah, I hope it's Mateta. Oh, well, we will have to see. And then, last but not least, if you could sign any realistic player for Palace, who would you sign?
Yeah, so the player that came to mind immediately was, this is probably not a shock, but Conor Gallagher.
I wondered if you might say that.
Because he was just... The whole team was built around him last season, and he was just brilliant. And he's a lovely kid, big smile on his face, lovely blonde hair, everything about him. He scores goals, he tackles, and I understand why he's gone back to Chelsea to try and play. It's not worked out, and they're a complete basket case.
They are.
So if there's a chance that he could come back next summer, I would pay literally anything. But I will say, Sambi Lokonga, he's only played 3 games for us, or 3 or 4 games, has looked really good. Okay. So if we can't get Gallagher in the summer, if Arsenal do win the league, then start spending millions on their squad, and Lokonga can't get a look in, I'd be very happy if we went into him in the summer. It's not Connor, but he does look pretty good. So
it's one of Conor Gallagher or Sambi Lokonga then is the dream realistic
for me. I'd be very happy if we can get one of those this summer. Yeah, I think they. I mean, obviously, I know they're not strikers, but I think that would. I would love Conor back so much. But.
Yeah, I must say, I don't know who I would go for as a dream realistic signing. I'm trying to think of top strikers around Europe that you could maybe get, but the issue is there's a big lull between the really top ones who still aren't people like Jonathan David. We don't really know the level of, but Palace can't spend the money. But then is he really good enough for Manchester United? I don't know. But then, there's no just middling players out there, and everybody needs one. So
my main problem is I don't watch enough football from other leagues, so my knowledge is appalling. So so I've just gone for 2 players that have already played for Palace recently because my knowledge is really poor.
I mean, I have opinions of other people's opinions. That could be called plagiarism, but I say it's not. I just have opinions of what other people say, and then I go off that. I watch enough. Listen to what people say and stuff. But yeah, mainly it's opinions of others' opinions. On that note of me admitting that the whole podcast is a scam, please keep listening.
It's an homage.